So everybody, welcome to our Como rebuild. This is one that I've actually been waiting a while to do. Also, I'll put this up on the community page. Asked everybody who wanted the rebuild to give 4 teams. Como won by a long margin. It was at like 58% by the time the poll had finished. So yeah, here we are. So obviously Como probably shot to a wee bit of fame. Obviously have came back up into the Serie A. They haven't been in the Serie A for like 20 years. Obviously with Cesc Fabregas being affiliated with the club, and they've bought some really good players. They're doing really well. I think currently, of me recording this, they're like 7th or 8th in the Serie A. But obviously, look, never won the Serie A. They haven't been in it for like 20 years. The highest position they've ever been is 7th, and it was like 1950. So that is something we do. We're gonna try and reach a little higher than that, because obviously I would love to get us up in the European football, up in the Champions League football, push for the title, and obviously do well in the Champions League. Winning the Champions League would be fantastic. Can we do that in 5 years? I don't know, but the board is actually pretty solid. We start off with 20 million and with some very good young players. Obviously, the main star of the show with regards to FM26 is going to be young Nico. They got him from Real Madrid a couple of seasons ago for like 5 million, so I'm sure Real Madrid's regretting that one. But look, the kid is massively talented, and I have seen him like 5 or 6 years into the future. He is absolutely disgusting. 6'1", can play reasonably well both feet. He's only 20 years old. Technical and vision is absolutely through the roof. He's kind of like a little young Messi, if I'm being honest. Obviously, well, a little taller than Messi, but like with regards to age, he is very talented. But on top of that, amazing vision, determination, flair, mental stats are all very good. Good 14 for composure, concentration. Physicals are good. Strength needs to come up a little bit, but like I said, he's only just turned 20 years old. And of course, they do have Martin Batriano, obviously in FM24, was very good. A little injury prone back end. I'm not too sure if he still has that in his traits. He doesn't appear to, but he also enjoys the big games, and he's got a balanced and normal personality in this one. He is one that's also very exciting. Good dribbling, good first touch, good passing. Mental stats probably not as good as Nico Pass, but look, all in all, physical stats are very good as well. He also has guaranteed 4-star potential, so he's going to get a star bonus. So we start off with some very exciting young players. Another one is Jesus Rodriguez, another one that's very good. Granted, probably don't know if he has 4 to 5 star potential just in his current squad. Obviously, as the squad gets better, we'll start to see his real potential. But very strong on one foot, good with the other foot. He's only 19 years old. He's worth 70 to 81 billion, so the kid has some serious potential. So another one I'm excited to use. They also have a fan favorite of mine, one that I used whenever I was my FM24 save with Leon, is Maxime Cucurella. Look, a very good defensive midfielder. Would like him to be a little taller. Look, you know my love for big physical players in FM, and they just seem to work really well. But 5'9", really good defensive midfielder, good engine, works hard, he can pass. The main thing about a good DM is their mark and pass and tackling and technique. If you can get all that in one package, you're absolutely laughing. Like I said, yeah, he's not the biggest, the most physical in the world, but he is very good on the ball. He tracks back, he works hard. He's still only 25. I'm actually interested to see how much they paid for him. 13 million, I think, is an absolute steal for a player like Cucurella. They also have a very good striker in Tosas Duvikas. Probably absolutely fucked that up, but look, here we are. Another one reasonably good with both feet. Still only 25 years old, but big physical unit of a player. 6 foot, but really good in the air. Actually pretty good speed for a big fella. Physicals are good. Attacking is good. So once again, you know my love for big physical players, and he's one of those ones that kind of suits that. But on top of that, he's also got really good high work rate and teamwork, which is fantastic. They also have a couple of really solid centre backs in Mark Oliver Kempf. Another one, 6'1", pretty good with both feet, pretty good all round, really solid centre back. Look, not the fastest in the world, but look, we're Como, beggars can't be choosers. 30, so at some point we're probably going to have to replace him. But we do have Stefan Posch in on loan, another one's 28, so we've got a couple centre backs that have got a decent amount of experience. Obviously, he's probably more of like a DM, but he's still really good, reasonably good with both feet, 6'2", physicals are good, mentals are good. He's got good mark and passing, tackling and technique. If you go over here, as you can see, pretty solid all round. Visions, not the best, but look, like I said, we're Como, and yeah, he's pretty solid. And one of the players I'm actually really surprised they have this card out on loan is Yannick Engelhardt, 24 years old, defensive midfielder. Look, he's very good on physicals. Look, not the fastest player in the world, but like natural fitness, stamina, teamwork, work rate, mentals are fantastic. Once again, he's good at passing, good tackling, good technique. He's only 24, but he is currently out on loan for the season to Borussia Mönchengladbach. Hopefully I can bring him back in January. He's one I would actually like to get into the team and start playing. But this is what the team looks like on paper. I'm probably going to go for a 4-2-4. I think that we have a lot of really, really good young talented players, and I would just like to get them up the pitch and get them going. See, for every save, I don't want to keep playing the same tactic and stuff, but the good thing is about FM26, there's a lot of really, really good tactics. Because of the in possession and out of possession, you can tweak things a lot as well. So there's going to be a lot of tactics on the channel. Will we stick with this one? I don't know. We're just going to kind of wing it and see we go. Obviously, any tactics that I use will be in the pinned comments along with the save file when this video goes live, and you just go pick everything up. Like I said, we do also start off this save of 20 million, but that is one position. I think centre back is going to be the position we need to kind of bring somebody in. We also have Valley, another one. Pretty solid left back. He's got good potential. Obviously, like I said, as the quality of the squad goes up, his potential will probably drop down. But look, good speed, good mentals, good technicals, left-footed. He's still very, very young at 21 years old. So we have some really, really good players in there. Van der Brett, another one. He's only 23. They have a decent amount of really good like young players. He's another one, guaranteed 4-star potential, so he's going to get a star better in this. He's only 23. I'm actually really, really happy with the squad. Butez is another one, 30 years old, but a pretty solid keeper. One I would like to probably upgrade at some point, but keeper's not a massive thing right now. I feel like centre back is a position we are going to need to strengthen, because Posh, obviously here on loan, so we're going to lose him next year, and then Kempf is like, what, 31, 32? Gonna be soon. So yeah, it's a position we're gonna need to look at. But like I said, we do have 20 million because the board has been pretty nice to us. Obviously, we've got no wages, so we're probably gonna have like 15 to 16 million. We're gonna have to pump a wee bit of that into wages. But all in all, I'm very, very happy with the squad. Like, there's a lot of good, like I say, good young players here as well. And we have some decent squad. Like, if you scroll down, got some decent squad depth. We do have a lot of people in on loan and a lot of people out on loan. That's the one thing I wish whenever you started a save, you could just pull people back from loan and send back everybody you don't want that's on loan. Obviously, look, if you've got the editor, you can do all that yourself. But, like, it would be nice to just, like, have a fresh squad, if that makes sense. I'm going to go have a wee look around in the transfer market. Also, the staff is probably somewhere we're going to have to upgrade as well. The staff are okay. I would like to bring some better staff in. Obviously, we're going to have to wait and see with the quality of staff that we can bring in, because Como don't have a massive reputation. Because even if you go down to the bottom of the screen over here to their facilities, the stadium is set as okay. Training facilities are average training facilities, and then their youth they've got good youth facilities, which is fantastic. So obviously, this is all stuff I'm going to want to upgrade at some point. We do have a total of 45 million finances, so we're good for finances, and I'm actually pretty happy that the boards give us 20 million considering we only have 45. We also have a decent affiliate clubs. Ajax is one of our affiliate clubs. They have some very, very good young players. So obviously we can strike a little deal with them. Obviously we can loan players in. It's not going to cost us anything. So that may be something I look to kind of do, because Ajax have some very, very good young players that they may even maybe loan out to us, or we can get a wee, maybe try and get a deal cheaper from them. Like I said, boys, I'm going to go upgrade the staff. I'll show you some of the staff and stuff we get, and yeah, like I said, have a wee hook around the transfer market for a good centre back, maybe somebody younger that we can bring in and kind of mold and give a wee bit of time to. But I'm going to do that. So I think we've did pretty well in the transfer market. Like I said, I only brought one person in. I didn't really want to sell any of the squad. There's nobody that's massively worth a lot, obviously, apart from like Paz and stuff, the people I don't want to sell. So I haven't sold anybody. I brought one centre back, and I think we did very, very well. But probably had to pay a little bit of money for him. But as a person, I think it's really, really worth. We also upgraded the staff. The staff are way better. I'll show you some of the staff now, but I'll show you the centre back I brought in. That person is Sepp van den Berg. Look, I'm not going to lie to you. There was not a lot of options when it came to centre back. Obviously, we don't have a massive reputation. Como's just got up into the Serie A. They don't have any European sort of like pizzazz about them because they've never been in there. I think this is a really, really good centre back that we have brought in. Look, 23 years old. 6'4", can play reasonably well with both feet. He's got 4-star potential. He's going to get he's probably going to get just a little bit better than this. But look, speed's good, aerial's good. He's pretty good all round, which is the thing I was kind of looking for. Somebody that was pretty well rounded. He's got good marking, passing, tackling technique. His determination is good. I was kind of hoping his leadership skills were up a little bit, and then obviously we would have like a future captain maybe down the line. But all in all, we got him in the door. But yeah, we had to pay 35 million for him, working its way up to 42 after some installments, which all in all, honestly, I don't think is a ton of money. Look, we could have went out and got someone that was like 17 or 18, probably for like 8 or 9 million, which I do plan to do. That is one thing, you know, what I always do with these saves is obviously going to be bolstering up the under 21s and bolstering up the under 18s, and basically when you take the save on, you're going to have a ton of really, really good young players to bring through. Obviously, you know my love for developing young players, so the young players I can bring through either from the youth intake or ban, and then bringing them up into the first team. But that is going to be something we're going to have to do over time, because we don't have a lot of cash. Now, I do have a couple of centre backs I'm kind of interested in. They're like 17 and 18, but obviously we're going to need a little bit of cash to do that, and then I would probably need to bring them in and get them loaned out. But look, Sepp van den Berg, it means he can just walk straight into the team. He's big and he's physical. And like I said, our options were a little limited. So this means this is what the team is going to look like for season 1. We've got Butes and Nets, Valle, Kemp, Van den Berg, and Van der Breck, and then Cucurella and Peroni, and then is it Jesus or Jesus? I can never know which one of the two is. We're just going to call him Rodriguez. And then the big man, Dugvikish, and then Paz and Batriano. Look, I think this is a very, very good team. Obviously, look, we just come up into the Serie A. So the first main goal is going to be making sure we stay in the Serie A. But honestly, I feel like this team is good enough. I would like to hit mid-table as a minimum for the season. Obviously, pushing up in the European, any sort of European football would be absolutely massive. But like, we just have to see, one, how the tactic performs, how the players play in the formation. We may have to switch a few things as we go along. But look, I think we've got a very, very good team. But the main thing, like I said, stay in the league, try and hit mid-table, and then just like our big season push would be pushing up in the European football. But like I said, I did massively upgrade the staff. I brought in Daniel Bandini as our new assistant manager. As you can see, outstanding for defending. I always like to have a really, really good defensive coach as well. Look, possession's very, very good. Set pieces are very good. Tactical's very good. Over here, authority, determination, and motivation are all fantastic. Tactical knowledge is also very good. Really, really well-rounded. Then I brought in Big Jim Fraser as our new head of youth development. As you can see, working with youngsters is very good. Judging player ability and judging player potential are both outstanding. This would technically be your like 18 or 19 out of 20 if you were going there. Elite is obviously the highest you can get, but he's elite for motivation. But look, this is a very, very, and he's still, the main thing is as well, a lot of like head of youth developments are like 60, mid 60s to like 70. So we got someone, he's only 48, which means he can probably progress, and also we can keep him at the club for a long time. Also got us a way better goalkeeping coach in David Watson, a really, really good fitness coach in Simeon Colinet. Look, he's outstanding for fitness. This is good because obviously I like my teams to press hard and like go, so a little fitness will help. And then obviously I got us a couple of decent coaches as well, but the main thing is the one that I couldn't get someone really, really good was our set piece coach. Look, he's a regen and he's only 33 years old. His set is very good. This would probably be like your 15 to like 17 with regards to like sort of the numbers from FM24. Look, set piece is very good. I would like to at some point get this up into outstanding or elite, but obviously we're going to have to increase our reputation for that. But look, all in all, we did very, very well. Like I said, the team looks really, really good. A huge thing as well is obviously going to be coming back in January for the approach of signs and seeing one, who's available, also who can we attract because our reputation's not high. We bring us back for the youth intake. Hopefully we can get some good young players and bring them through. But guys, look, that's enough messing about. Let's go play season 1. So boys, we're at the end of season 1. I did try to go in January and get some people on approach signs, but obviously we're tapped out for cash because we spent it all and we have nothing on wages. Honestly, I did put in for a few players and just kind of moved a little bit of cash around, but then the players that I put in for ended up going to other clubs. Look, we're Como, it's to be expected. Look, we're not a high profile team, and look, this is going to take about a while to just get a reputation up and get things going. Obviously the youth intake, if we're here, it wasn't great, boys. It was not great. Our highest person was a 2.5 star. So yeah, I just saved you the pain of looking at really shit players and just moved us along. So we're at the end of season 1. Look, like I said, staying in the division is our main priority. I honestly believe our team is good enough to finish above mid-table. And then obviously the ultimate goal would be some form of European football. But look, my goal is sort of, I would say top 8 or 9 would be a really, really good season. So let's jump over, see how we did in the league. So I feel like we started the season off really, really strong. We got a 1-each draw away to Juventus. We then somehow managed to beat AC Milan 2-1. Yeah, we also beat Napoli 3-1. And then Bologna beat us 3-2. And then Inter absolutely evaporated us, beat us 5-1. We did bounce back with a fantastic 4-1 win over Atalanta. They don't seem to be doing too well in real life or in Football Manager at the minute. Then near the end of the season, we did take a really heavy loss against Bologna. This one was a little disappointing. We could beat 4-1. But boys, with all that aside, we did amazing. We finished 5th in the league. 5th. Like, how the fuck did we do this? Like, don't get me wrong, I expected us to do relatively well. Like I said, my goal was break that top 8 or 9. Like, I think we had the players to do it. Obviously, with having pass and stuff, I know a bunch of people are going to be like, Mark didn't show us at the start of the season about Asandiao. Look, he was out for sort of 4 to 5 months, so we missed him for the first half of the season. Don't worry, I didn't forget about him. It's just he was injured, so I was going to wait and show you at the end of the season. But this is absolutely insane. It means we're in the Europa League next year. Look, I'd honestly been happy even if we were in the Europa Conference League. I didn't really care. Obviously, the main goal, the highest goal of all, was get some form of European football. We played amazing. 38 games played, 20 wins. We had 20 wins, 10 draws and 8 losses. And then we had 69 goals scored. So, you know, we automatically win there. 42 for goals against. Would like this to come down a wee bit, but look, it's our team. I don't really overly mind. 27 goal difference, which, to be honest, compared to the rest of the league, the highest goal difference is 36, and it's Inter. Inter only conceded 32 goals all season. When I came back in January, they had only conceded 7. From the start of the season till January, they had only conceded 7 goals. So I don't know what happened from then, if they got maybe some injuries or something and conceded a few more. But look, we did absolutely amazing. And then we finished on 70 points. We're still obviously 10 points away from the top of the league. But honestly, that's not a huge difference. The fact that I'm actually blown away that we finished 5th. Obviously, the main thing is going to be next year improving the squad. But that's kind of where our issue lies. Because even though we got European football, we only have 675,000 in the transfer kitty, and I can't move any of that around. The most we can have is 700,000. So unless we sell people, we ain't gonna have a transfer budget. But honestly, even if we don't and we have to take this squad in the next season, look, I'm very, very happy with this. Obviously, we have some players going back, but we also have some players coming back from loans to us. A couple of them are very, very good players. So we have technically increased the squad by those players coming back from loan. A little disappointed with not having a lot of money. But look, it is what it is. First season, we jumped up into European football, but we also have the Italian Cup. So we start things off in the first round of the Cup against Pescara. We beat them 3-2 in a very close game. In the second round, we faced off against AC Monza. We beat them 5-1. In the third round, we get handed a hard draw against Atalanta, but we smashed them 4-1. In the quarterfinals, we faced off against Bologna. We beat them 2-0 to get some revenge for them beating us in the league, which meant we moved on to the semi-finals of the Cup against Empoli. We beat them 3-1 in the first leg. In the second leg away, we also beat them 3-1. The boys were through to a Cup final, where we faced off against Inter, and we actually started off the scoring through our young centre-back. Inter hit back pretty much straight away. They got another one 3 minutes later through Thuram. 3 minutes later, we made it 2 each. Young Paz, they made it 3-2. In the 90th minute, we got another one from them pushing their keeper up from a goal. For us boys to win the cup against Inter Milan. Dude, look, I would love to take all the credit from this, but look, an absolutely fantastic tactic. Obviously, I'll leave that in the pinned comments down below. I basically took a tactic, tweaked it a little bit, went from attacking down to positive, but I'll leave the original link to the tactic. Like I said, all I did was just to kind of change it down to positive and a few things here and there. An absolutely unreal tactic. 4-2-4s are also very, very good. But look, we had a really, really good team. We know we can score goals. Like, we have the potential up there. Obviously, just not conceding as many. But beating Inter 4-2, boys, we won a cup in our first season and got European football. So boys, then jumping over into the player performance for the season, our keeper, young Butes, who's actually wanted, who wants him? That's a little rough because that's 2 Premiership clubs. That ain't gonna help. But he played 43 games, 12 clean sheets, and conceded 48. Yeah, probably conceded a few more than what we want. But look, we know our defense is where we kind of need to beef up. Going forward, we know we can score goals. So at some point when we get some money, defense is probably something we're going to have to look at. Big Kempf in the back line is obviously one we're going to need to replace, but he played 31 games, 2 goals, 1 assist. Big Van de Berg scored 40. He played 40. If he scored 40 goals as a centre-back, boys, I would probably sell him on for about 200 million. Oh God, he's actually wanted. Here's it. Ah, shit, it's Newcastle. That's not going to be good. But he played 40 games, 3 goals, 1 assist. Pele, our young left back, played 29 games, had a few injuries here and there, but he had no goals, but 7 assists. The big man on the other side, Van der Bremt? I can't remember. I kept forgetting his last name, but he played 40 games, 4 goals, 8 assists. Then, of course, we have 2 holding midfielders who I don't expect to score a lot of goals or anything. They're there to basically protect the defense. But Kukurat played 38 games, no goals, 5 assists. Acuna seemed to be the one who played beside him the most. Look, I'm good with this. He's a little short, 5'9", but look, he's got the stats to back it up, so I don't really mind. Played 44 games, 5 goals, 4 assists. Then moving to the attacking players, Batriano played 41 games, 7 goals, 7 assists, so probably not a fantastic season for him. But look, I'm not going to judge anybody too much on the first season. Look, he's a good player technically and sort of like physically he's a good player, but his mental stats is kind of where I feel like this is a position obviously we're going to need to upgrade at some point, but obviously defense is going to be the main thing next year at some point if we can sell some people and get some cash. Because look, his concentration's 11, decision making is 10, and his determination is 12, and Like he's okay. He'd be a very, very good squad player. But sometimes stats don't mean everything. Some players just have that being able to play. And then, like I said, Asandiao was injured for the first half of the season. He only played 26 games, 5 off the bench, 7 goals, 5 assists, not bad. Of course, Tosas Duvikas. I feel like I'm pronouncing his name right. Hopefully I am. I'm sure somebody in the comments will let me know. He started 12 games, had a few wee injuries here and there. There was a little bit of rotation in here. And then he had 28 off the bench, but he had 16 goals and 7 assists. So like over 20 goal involvements for only starting 12 games is very good. And of course, the one everybody wanted to see was Nico Pass. Look, the dude is absolutely ridiculous. He's probably one of the only players in the game that can hit 5-star potential. Him and Endrick. Dude, Endrick would be one. If I could loan him in to play beside Paz, dude, we would score so many goals. But he played 45 games, 19 goals and 14 assists. So what's that, like 33 goal involvements in 45 games for a dude that's only just turned 21? Boys, this is the team. Honestly, I'm very, very happy with the squad. Look, if I'm looking at the squad and I'm like, right, where do we need improvements? Obviously, look, I know we don't have a lot of cash, but like if we were to sell people and we had some money, I would probably replace this. Kempf is somewhere I need to replace. And then probably D'Acunha. Look, he's a very, very good player. But him and Kukurat are both small. And he's only 5'9". I would like someone with a bit more physicality, like anywhere from like 6'1" to 6'3". They're good going forward, good going back. Obviously, difficult to find. But I do have a few people in mind I would like to bring in. But obviously, we need some cash. But center back is going to be somewhere we really, really need to focus on. Look, I'm either going to have to try and loan somebody in for really, really cheap, or just get lucky and sell one of our players. Hopefully, it's not Nico Pass or Diao. It's the two players I kind of really want to keep a hold of. Honestly, if we could get rid of Batriano, I'm being serious, like 22, 27 million, if we could get rid of him and then invest that into a centre back, I think that's probably the way to go. Because we do still have Rodriguez and he can play very good with both feet. He can play on both sides. So if I was to sell Batriano and then put him in, honestly, it probably makes us a little stronger. He started 19 games, 23 off the bench, 11 goals, 5 assists. So he's very, very capable of playing there. So honestly, if I had Rodriguez on one side, Diao on the other, and we get rid of Batriano, I know people are probably going to be like, Mark, get rid of Rodriguez. He's worth a shit ton of money. Look, I can't want to keep him because he's one of our better players. But obviously we'll jump that bridge when we come to it. But we don't even know if we can keep Van der Berg because Newcastle's after him. How much is he worth? 45 to 60 million. So like, honestly, joking aside, if we got 65 to 70 million, I'd let him go. We're going to need the cash. We really, really are. But look, all in all, boys, an amazing season. European football in our first season. Obviously, getting into Champions League football would have been unreal, but I'm happy, even if we're in the Europa League, it's increasing our reputation. Obviously, we need the cash. If you go to your finances, the club's not looking great. Because if you go to the finances section, as you can see, the overall balance of the club is only at 1.2 million, which is not a lot for a team that's in European football. But obviously, look, this is a building process, and the main thing is going to be, obviously, trying to increase the finances of the club. By the time I leave Como, I want this to be, can we try and push 100 million? But boys, a great season. European football, won the cup. I'm hoping it. Look, you know how this goes. Sometimes you get like a wee season where your players just hit the ground and just keep going. But sometimes the good things with not selling players is you start getting a lot of team cohesion. Obviously, these lines start appearing between all the players. They start playing better together because you're not selling them and they're playing together a lot. So look, there is sometimes a wee bit of a positive to like not always just like changing your team all the time. But look, centre back is a position we are going to need to look at. So, boys, let's jump over into season 2. So, boys, not a fantastic way to start off the start of the season. Nico passes hand in a transfer request. Look, he came to me with a personal matter. He wants to go and play with a stronger squad. I give him reassurances that we will be increasing the squad and we're going to be getting better. He says, I don't want to wait that long. So, he's now transfer listed, which... Don't get wrong, if we were to sell Nico Pass, say we were getting 90 million for him, that massively helps out the team. But, like... he's our star player. Look, I knew this was going to happen at some point, but I didn't think it was going to happen in season 2. We also have a Como receive a takeover approach. If this happens, that would be absolutely amazing. If we got like a little sugar daddy action going on, no, we get a little bit of money. But look, the Nico Pass thing, it's not great. So literally a couple of days later, the takeover has been complete. So it completes a 20.5 million Como takeover. I don't know what this means financially for us. Like, will we get a wee bit more sort of transfer debt and stuff? We have a personal message from the takeover. I want to thank you for your patience during the ownership and takeovers. We're raising 5.5 million for the club. So I don't know, honestly, down the line if this... Hold on. Did we get... It's only 600,000. It's literally less money than we had before the takeover. So boys, then moving over into season 2, obviously I want to rebuild the squad. Even with the takeover, we didn't get any extra cash. so I had to go and make some money. So I made a total of 132 million, and it wasn't selling Nico pass. One of the first ones out the door was big Ivan Azon. Look, we have a ton of strikers at the team. We really do. Strikers and attackers is a position we're very good. So we sold him off the Espanyol for 3.9 million. Then one I wasn't expecting to get rid of was going to be our keeper, Joan Boutez. He went off to the Saudi League. I think it was a total of about 7.5 million in the render. Look, all good deal. We bought him for 1.7 million. Sold him on for a decent amount of cash. And the next one out the door was Mergim Javoda. Anyway, look, a player that wasn't really going to get a lot of football. We have better players in those positions, but we sold him on for a total of 14.5 million. I'm guessing because there's no fee, we probably got him on a free. So all in all, 14.5 million pound profit. Then the next one out the door was Martin Batriano. This is one we were talking about already. Look, just a player we could probably get rid of. We sold him on to Leverkusen for a total of 20 million. Look, I think it's a good deal for them. He's a really good player for them. Obviously, Leverkusen doing the same thing. They're rebuilding their squad too. But like, we got 20 million for a player that, I wasn't too sure how much we were going to be able to sell him. Then the next one out the door was one I didn't want to sell. Was Van der Bremt, our right back. Look, a really solid player. Didn't want to sell him, but you know, the Saudi League came knocking, and we, at least in the plus side, we got some decent money for him. So Como bought him for 4.3 million, and then we sold him on for 30 million, working its way up there. But I think it's about 38.5 million in around there. So then the big one going out the door was the defender that we had just bought. Once again, the same as our right back. One I didn't want to sell. He's 6'4". He's good all round. He's still only 24 years old. But once again, the Saudi League came knocking. This was, I'm not gonna lie, the right back one, it was like, oh, that's a little frustrating, but like, we can get over it. This one was kind of annoying because trying to replace him has been a fucking nightmare. So we bought him for 35 million last season, then we sold him for a total of 52 million. It was like 24 million up front and then the rest in installments. But all in all, look, we got an extra, like, 23 million. But honestly, it was a guy I didn't want to sell because he's so good and he's still very young. But what can you do when the Saudi League comes knocking? So one player I have brought in is Gabriel Moscardo from PSG. This is on a season loan with an option to buy. I think the option to buy is about 13 million. I do have a lot of money left over, so we are going to be able to buy him. Look, 6'1", play reasonably well both feet. He's only 20 years old. He's very good all round. Has a ton of potential. So this is one, obviously, if we can activate the release clause in the option to buy, I would definitely like to bring him in. So the next one I brought in is big Jonas Urbig. I know it's Urbig, but look, I just call him Urbig. It's just what it is. Look, a very good keeper from Bayern Munich. He's only 22 years old, 6'2", reasonably good both feet, very good all round. As you can see over here, look, shot stop and error. He's very good at everything, and he has guaranteed 4-star potential, so he's going to get a 1.5 stars better than this. This was a loan deal with a mandatory fee. I think it worked out at about 27 million in the round there. All in all, a very good deal for a very good keeper that we can keep here for a long time. And the next one I brought in is Lucas Hogsberg from Strasbourg, is it? Look, a very good young right back. He's only 20 years old. He's also 6'2". You know my love for keeping the physicality in the team as much as we can. We did have to pay a decent amount of money for him, but look, he's a very good young right back. Paid a total of 18.5 million. I think this works up to about sort of like 22-23 million all in. But look, they paid 13. They got some decent money for him, and we get a really good right back. But the BAM players did not stop there. We still have a couple more to bring in. Like I said, we made a lot of cash. Like I said, the great thing, I know I haven't got to that yet, but Paz, he's still transfer listed. It's for 106 million. So unless anybody wants to come in and offers 106 million, the weird thing is Real Madrid have a buyback clause of 7.7 million, and they were one of the clubs that was interested. They never offered, thank God. We had lost Nico Paz for 7.7 million. I would have lost my fucking mind. Bayern were the only club they offer. They offered like 33.5 million. I straight said no. He hasn't said anything. Usually people get upset he's spaghetti with their transfer listed, but look, his transfer listing is for 106 million. If somebody wants to come in and offer, they can come in and offer. Until then, he's staying at the fucking club. So if we jump over, and this is what the assistant manager would put out. He would put out Ubrig, Valley, Roman. Honestly, the centre backs, like I said, I don't mind to let them just interchange. Posh, obviously we're going to have to lock our young right back in, Hogsberg in there. Moscardo and Kugrat, very happy with them. Diao, Ryan, and Paz, I'm kind of happy with. I would like Paz to be up in here, and then Rodriguez to be on the right hand side as our inside forward. Look, Dovigas is very good, but look, I don't know. Do I keep him in because he's a big physical unit of a player, and sometimes you need that. If you have just like a bunch of like 5'7", 5'10", really fast players, you don't have another outlet. So I may just keep this the way it is. I feel like he's a really good player. 6 foot. He's really good in the air, pretty decent with both feet. And like I said, he just adds something a little bit different to your team. So I may just keep him in here. And then obviously Rodriguez and stuff will just interchange quite a lot. So the only person I'm going to have to lock in is going to be Hogsberg on the right hand side. And look, if we only have to lock in one player, that's absolutely fantastic. And as you can see, look, our squad depth is very, very good. There is obviously a few players, look, I'm still trying to get rid of. One of them is obviously Mark Oliver Kempf. Look, I want to get rid of him at 18 if we can get 18.5 million. Honestly, it would take 10 for him. Look, it's not personal. He's going to be 32 and we have a bunch of really, really good centre backs at the club. So he's one I've dropped down in the under 20s. I'm going to try and get rid of until the season starts. Morata, like I said, just look, dude, I don't understand why we paid like 8.5 million for him. He's going to be 34 this year. So he's once again down in the under 20s until I can get rid of him in January because we just signed him. So boys, all in all, this is going to be the team going into season 2. Look, obviously just do what we did last year. If I'm being realistic, last year was a wee bit of a fucking surprise. I wasn't expecting us to do that well, but look, main goal, obviously, always stay in the league. That's the main goal, stay in the league. With where we finished last year, I think we have to stay in European football this year. Like, that's our goal. Stay in European football. Obviously, try and push for a Champions League spot or win the Europa League, and then we guarantee ourselves a Champions League spot. One of those two would be absolutely fantastic. And then obviously the same in the cup. Just go as far as we can every year. I don't expect us to win every year. Winning last year was once again another big surprise. But look, getting a bunch of surprises in your first season is always really, really nice. But boys, that's enough messing about. Obviously, we're going to check the approach to signs in January. We do have wages now, and we have a wee bit more reputation, so we're going to be able to offer people decent contracts. Because look, I can't just go out every season and splash cash. I can't guarantee that I'm always going to be able to sell players for like decent cash. So obviously hitting the approach to signs and getting people on free is going to be massive. And then if the youth intake is good, I will see his back in April. I hope I do get to see his back. I would love a good youth intake through this. And then obviously every season I'm going to keep going to the board and trying to increase all the facilities and stuff every year. Obviously we don't have a massive budget. We did get a bit of a takeover. The board did pump like £25 million into the club. So as you can see, you go over the finances now, we're looking pretty good. The club is now got value of 43 million. We were down to like 1.2 million start of the season. Obviously with me selling a lot of players and then the board pushing money into the club, it has helped out quite a lot. But boys, that's enough messing about. Let's go play season 2. So January is hit, and obviously, like I said, I'm going to go and have a look at the approach of signs. But before we get into that, yeah, the team may have changed a little bit. So this season in total, we have transfers out. So the money we have made is now totaling 256 million. So yeah, I'll show you the players that we got rid of. One of them I didn't really want to sell. So Big Peroni was one of the first ones out the door. Look, this was obviously just a player that, look, we didn't really use that much. He wanted more football at the club, and look, the Saudi League came in and offered us 15 million. So I took it. And the next one out the door was Cunha, once again, another one that just wanted guaranteed football every single week. I couldn't get it again. So we ended up getting about a total of about 24.5 million for him, which I think is a pretty good deal. But the inevitable did happen, boys, and we ended up losing Nico Pass. We knew it was going to happen. It's either he goes to Barcelona or he goes to one of the big clubs in the Premiership. Didn't really want to lose him in January, but look, I think we've replaced him pretty well. Obviously, replacing him with a player of his quality is going to be very, very difficult, but we did get insanely good money. We got a total of 110 million, 50 million up front, the rest in installments after 12 months, and then after he plays 50 games, which ain't going to take too long because he's going to play a lot of football. But yeah, 110 million for Nico Pass. Look, if you're going to lose a young player, and let's be honest, we all know you're going to lose Nico Pass from Como at some point. At least we get 110 million, which means we had to replace him. And one of the young players I brought in to play up front for us is going to be young Cheeto Obi Martin. Look, I'm trying to keep this a wee bit more as realistic as I can with regards to Como. I don't see Como going spending 60, 70, 80 million all the time. I see them just plucking like wee stars, bringing them in, developing them, and then selling them for like crazy cash away, like the likes of Dortmund and like Ajax and stuff do. So I brought Cheeto in. This is the only save I have seen Cheeto with 19 determination. He's very, very good. As you can see, look, the kid always has really, really good potential. And it worked from sort of like, he usually hits about 4-star. So he's going to get 2 stars better than this. But look, very, very good in this game. Attacking's good, speed's good, technical's good, aerial's good. And it's good to find those players that are good in the air. They're also quick. And like I said, he's got that high determination. We paid a total of 7.5 million for him. But to partner him up top, I wanted someone a wee bit more of like a unit type player. So I went for Max Merstead. Look, 6'4", strong on one foot, very strong with the other foot. His physicals are absolutely insane. Like I said, he's a wee bit more of like a big unit type player. He does have sort of like 3.5 to 4-star potential, but look, we paid a total of 8 million for him. So we paid a total of 15.5 million for our 2 new strikers. And yeah, think we made a little bit of profit, boys. So, boys, the end of season 2. Look, I'm just hoping we can progress like we have been progressing. Obviously, the first season, we absolutely smashed it, but losing Nico Pass in January was a massive, massive hit. Look, losing him in the summer makes things a little bit easier, but losing him mid-season, then also trying to replace him, I think we honestly did very, very well in bringing in Merstead and Cheeto. I think we've done fantastic, but can we maintain the form that we had before Pass left? Let's go see how we did in the league. So we start things off with a fantastic 2-1 win against Juventus, and then get absolutely blitzed by Bologna 6-1. I don't know what it is about Bologna. I think they're our bogey team. But like I always say, the only way to come back from a defeat is to go and clap the cheeks off somebody else, and we beat Udinese 2-0. Had a fantastic 3-1 win over Lazio. We still couldn't beat Bologna. The best that we could do was get a draw with them. We then get a fantastic 4-0 win over Cagliari. But boys, with all those results, we got ourselves into Champions League football. Look, obviously finished 5th last year, an absolutely fucking amazing season. It was amazing. We won the cup and we got ourselves into some form of European football, and my goal was to make sure we at least stayed in that top 6. Bologna are actually 6th in the league. Inter are 7th, which is absolutely wild with the team that they have got. Napoli are down in 9th, so the fact that we have played fantastic and then those two big teams have not played great, it just shows. AC Milan won the league, which is just, that tells you all you need to know. But we had 38 games played. We had 20 wins, 10 draws, and 8 losses. I'm very, very happy with this. We scored 69 goals. Conceded 48. Would like this to come down a little bit, but let's be honest, we're playing a wee bit of an attacking tactic, so we're going to concede goals. But look, if they score 2, we'll score 3. That's the way we're going to live this. We had a 21 goal difference, finished on 70 points. We are a long way off the league. As you can see, Inter finished on 94, so we're 24 points behind the teams at the top of the league. But look, that's not our goal going into season 2. It's just going to be a progression thing over time. Obviously, I would like to get up there and start challenging for the league, but look, we're not just there yet. But look, guaranteeing Champions League football is absolutely fantastic. Then jumping over into the Italian Cup competition, of course, we won last year. We started things off in the 3rd round against Udinese. We beat them 2-1. Which then took us on to the quarterfinals against Modena. We beat them 4-1 to take us to a semi-final, where we faced off against Lazio. They beat us 1-0 in the first leg, and unfortunately it didn't get any better from there. In the second leg, they absolutely smashed us 4-1, so unfortunately no cup final in the second season. But look, to make it to the semis and do how we did in the league, I'm so happy. But we also still have the Europa League. So we start things off against, I'm not going to lie to you boys, I'm not even going to fucking try and pronounce their name, but beat them 3-1 in the first match. We then faced off against Malmo. We beat them 4-2. We had a fantastic 3-1 win over Bilbao. We then smashed Sparta Prague 4-0. We then also beat Utrecht 4-0. Genk 4-1. Then we ran into Chelsea. They only beat us 1-0. I'll take this. Look, Chelsea have a fantastic team, and we give a good performance. Then in our final league phase match, we went and slapped Lyon 6-0, which meant that in the league phase, we actually ended up finishing 3rd, which is fantastic. Newcastle were top, Frankfurt, Fiorentina, and Chelsea. Look, there's a lot of big teams in there, and the fact that we finished in 3rd place is absolutely amazing. Look, we played 8 games, we won 7, and we only lost. Our only loss was to Chelsea 1-0. But now that we finished in the top 8, we missed the knockouts and go straight to the round of 16, where we faced off against Besiktas. In the first match, we drew with them 2 each. The second leg was not close at all. We ended up smashing them 6-1. Boys to take us to the quarterfinals, where of course we faced off against Chelsea. They beat us 4-1 at Stamford Bridge in the first leg. Don't worry boys, when we went home, we got our revenge, beating them 4-0. So we went through 5-4 to the semi-finals, where we faced off against AZ. They beat us 2-1 in the first leg. I honestly thought this was going to be an easier draw, but like we always do when we get teams at home, we absolutely smashed them 3-0, which boys takes us to Europa League final against Monaco, where we actually started off with scoring through Big Davikas. Boys, that was the only goal of the game. We ended up winning the Europa League, which means even if we didn't finish in Champions League football in the league, we would have guaranteed ourselves a Champions League spot anyway, which means I think somebody else gets another spot because we won that, right? So I think it was, who was it, Bologna? I can't remember who was behind us in the league, but this is fantastic. I think we, honestly, the hardest match for us was going to getting past that Chelsea game. Like that first leg when they beat us 4-1, I'm not going to lie, I seen that and I thought that was us actually out. So the fact that we went home, beat them 4-0 and went through 5-4 against, let's be honest, a very, very good Chelsea team. We've built something fantastic here, and we've built it with a lot of really, really good young players. So obviously, league, guaranteed Champions League football and finished 4th. Got to the semi-final of the cup, which I'm still very, very happy about. Of course, look, if you get the semi-finals, you always want to make it to the final, but look, it just wasn't meant to be after winning it last year. And then we also won the Europa League. I thought last year was a really, really good season this season, but I think, look, if I'm gonna be really, really honest, when we lost Nico Pass, I thought we were actually gonna struggle a little bit because I wasn't too sure how Merstead and Cheeto look. They're very, very young, very inexperienced. I wasn't sure how they were going to come in. I know Nico Pass is young, but let's be honest, he's probably the best wonder kid in the game. But on the plus side, look, we got 110 million. We secured Champions League football. We also secured that the club has an extra bit of cash with all the money from Pass. So, yeah, a fantastic season too. Then jumping over into the player performances, you're big. Look, a very, very good keeper, and one, like I said, has guaranteed like 4-star potential, so it's gonna get even better than this. He's already very, very good. Played 58 games, 19 clean sheets. Look, conceded 72, but look, with how we're playing, like I said, we do go at teams, but I would like this to come down a little bit. But look, this is a process that's going to come with time. The better our defenders get, the better our team gets. Look, we're going to concede less goals, but all in all, I'm very, very happy with the big man. Then Big Antel seems to be the one that played out of the defenders that we bought. Look, very, very good centre back, still very young. He's a big physical unit. He can play with both feet. 41 games played, 1 goal, 1 assist. Roman then played 44 games, no goals, but 2 assists. Then Alex Vale on the other side, he played 47 games, 3 goals, 12 assists. So a good season for him. He's also wanted by Man United, so that's going to be a hard one to keep in the summer, but he's worth 54 to 68 million. So if they want to offer us like 50, 60 million, I'm not going to say no. Then his compatriot on the other side, Big Lucas Hogsberg, played 50 games, 1 goal, 9 assists. Would like to see the assists come up, but look, all in all, first season, not going to judge him too much, and like he's still a very young man. But just at the end of January, I did end up signing another player. This kind of just came out of the blue. I offered for him before, and then he wasn't interested. Then he was interested. I went and got his aid in heaven. Obviously, with the money from Nico Pass, helped us out a lot. We were able to like structure and rebuild the squad a little bit. I'm looking for that 6'2", 6'3", people that can play in midfield, people that can play in centre back, so we have a wee bit of rotation. And Aiden Heaven's perfect for that. He's 20, 6'2", very strong with left foot, which you know left-footed players hard to find, and then fairly strong with the other foot. Has the potential to be very, very good. He's playing a 3-star right now. If he gets up to 4-star, gets another star betterness, I'm going to be very, very happy. We paid a total of 13.5 million, which I think is an absolute steal for a big physical player. Obviously, look, is he the finished package and like the best in the game? No. But look, we're Como. Obviously, our options are very limited, and I think he's a really good signing for us. But he played 28 games, 1 goal, but he is playing in DM. And of course, the big man in beside him, Gabriel Moscardo, another one. Like I said, I wanted to add that more physicality in the team. 6'1", can play with both feet. Very, very good all round. Of course, we did have the option to buy in his loan deal. I did activate that. So he started 8 games, 17 off the bench, 1 goal, 1 assist. Obviously, him and Cucurette have interchanged quite a lot. Like I said, for the price of 13 million, it'd be rude not to buy him, boys. Then, of course, the big man Cucurette as well played 44 games, 1 goal, 7 assists. Like I said, boys, like they always say, let's get into the meat and the potatoes of the team. I want to see how our attacking players did. So, young Jesus, I'm just going to call him Jesus. Played 31 games, 21 off the bench, 11 goals and 12 assists. Young Diao, who on the other side, who is absolutely fantastic. I can't wait to try and get him into some of my other saves. 37 games, 6 off the bench, 12 goals and 8 assists. If you go over here, he is looking very, very good. And he also still has a wee bit of room to improve. Don't know if he'll hit 5-star, maybe 4.5, or maybe this might be him at his max, but all in all, very, very good. Those physical stats are absolutely insane. But he's also wanted by Inter Milan, so that could be an issue. And of course, Big Merstead up top, obviously only came in January. 29 starts, 15 goals and 4 assists. So 19 goal involvements in 29 games, and he had a 7.2 for the season. And young Cheeto in beside him, 22 games started, 10 goals and 6 assists. So 16 goal involvements in 22 games. This is honestly probably the best I've seen Cheeto right at the start of the game at only 19. I've never seen him with 19 determination. Even in my Man United save, I think he's like 13 or 14. So I would love this version of Cheeto, but I'm glad that we got 2 really, really good strikers. And once again, they're both like 6'2", 6'3". Once again, adds that physicality to our team. I don't know what it is. I just like big physical players and just like having a big physical team. It's how I like to play. And I think we did well bringing these in. Like I said, we got rid of Pass for 110 million, brought in 2 new strikers for like 15.5 million, and we guaranteed Champions League football with it. Of course, we do also have players like Ryan, who is going to be in and around the squad on guaranteeing playing. Started 31 games, which just shows we are getting a lot of squad rotation. 13 off the bench, 9 goals, 8 assists. So what's that? Like 18 goal involvements in 31 games. Pretty good. So another player that I brought in January, but we couldn't register him just because of the non-EU thing. Obviously, I need to get rid of some of the players in the squad. Italy, with this registration, I think you can only have 3 non-EU players in your squad, so we're going to need to sort that out. Is Sabakara Batsveli, I think that's how you pronounce his name. Look, a very, very good left back. You can get him if your club has a big enough reputation right at the start of the game. You can get him on an approach to sign, and then you get him in January, or you can wait till January, and then he has a release clause, usually about in and around like 3 million. That's pretty much what we did. But look, a very, very good left back. So if we lose our left back to Man United for like 50 million, I've brought this guy on. Like I said, I paid a total of 3 million for him. 3.6, I just lied to you. But look, obviously couldn't start a lot of games in the league, but he played a wee bit in the Europa League and stuff, so he got himself a wee bit of goals and a wee bit of experience. But this is one I'm very, very excited for the future, because he does have insane potential, and every save I've seen, he has really high determination, and he's really, really good. And for 3.6 million, I kind of feel like this is like a deal that like Como would make. And of course, we do also have Tosas, our big striker, did score obviously in the Europa League final. Started 23 games, 16 off the bench, 17 goals and 3 assists, so 20 goal involvements from the big man. And we did also have Banks, our other centre back, who actually looks really, really good right now. Played 28 games, 17 off the bench, no goals, 2 assists. But this is what I love about this squad as well. Like, everybody seems to be getting a decent amount of rotation in the squad. We are going to need that, because we're playing Champions League football, we're playing in the league, we're also playing in the cup, so there's going to be a lot of games where people can't play every single game. Look, I'm very, very happy with this team. There's no real positions I'm looking at this and going, we need to strengthen this right now, or we're going to be in serious trouble. Obviously, our left back, if he does go to Man United at any point, because let's be honest, if they put in an offer, we can't really overly stop him. This will obviously just be a straight swap for Saba, and he's probably a wee bit more attacking, so hopefully him and Hugsberg can get up there, get us a few crosses in, score a few more goals. Look, we may leak a few more goals, but like I said, if they score 2, we'll just score 3 or 4. We'll just be the way Real Madrid used to be. We'll just outscore everybody. But that is one thing I do want to see. I would like our defensive leaking goals to come down a little bit, and then obviously I would like us to start scoring a few more goals as well. Start pushing up into that like 70, 80, like try and push like 90 goals at some point. Obviously, that'll come a time. We do have a very, very young team. Like, our teams are, I think, who is our oldest player that starts? Our oldest player is Roman, and he's 22. Which is absolutely wild. Obviously, this would usually be Kukurat, but I want to play Heaven and Gabriel Moscardo in the middle of the park. Like I said, want to keep that physicality. So, like, 22 is our oldest player. So, our team has a long way to go to progress with regards. But, boys, I think that's an absolutely fantastic season. But next season, we do have Champions League football. So, let's jump over into season 3. I also still have a ton of cash left. I've still about 80 million. So, we may bring some people in. So, boys, moving over into season 3, the team has changed quite a lot. Look, we had a lot of players go out the door. Look, obviously our reputation's not great. We're Como, and we're gonna lose players. One of the first ones out the door was our left back Vale. Obviously, look, we have young Saba to fill in there. So look, as annoying as it is, we still have a cover there. We did get decent money for him. He went off to Bournemouth for a total of 40 million, working its way up to like 42.5 million after installments. Then unfortunately, one of the players I didn't want to lose was Diao, but unfortunately Newcastle come in and offered him in the Premiership, or the Saudi League comes knocking. Generally, most players are gonna leave. Look, we got decent enough money for him. Would have liked a little bit more. It was 47 million, working its way up there about 55.5 million, which, look, we bought him for 10 million, being an absolute massive profit. And look, once again, we aren't going to keep players at the club that don't want to be here, but he's one I just didn't want to lose. In the next one out the door was Big Roman, our centre back. Once again, another one I didn't want to lose, but Borussia Dortmund came in and offered for him a total of 22 million. Would have liked a little more cash than this, but once again, look, I'm not going to keep players at the club that don't want to be here, and I would have liked about 30 mil. But with Diao going out the door, obviously I was going to need to find someone who's a really, really good inside forward. So I went and got Franculinho. A few of you have been telling me how good he is, and yeah, I can kind of see that. His stats are absolutely ridiculous. Him and, is it Castro Santiago, are very, very similar, both in and around the same sort of price, get the same sort of stats, are both absolutely fantastic. I went in for Santiago as well, just to kind of see. They wanted like another extra 20 million top of that, so I went with him. Look, left-footed, so all I'm going to do is move Rodriguez over to the left-hand side, because he can play on both sides, and we're going to have him on the right. Look, very, very good player, very good all round. Obviously defending's not great, but look, we didn't bring him in for that. He's a 4-star player. We did have to pay a wee bit of cash, because obviously, look, his stats are ridiculous. We paid 45 million for him, which I think, honestly, for a player like him, his stats kind of speak for himself. But the transfers didn't stop her. I also went and got Nathan Decat. He was upset, he's spaghetti. Surprisingly, he was at Real Madrid, obviously wasn't getting on. Big surprise there, everybody's shocked. Look, very, very good player, 6'4", very, very good all round. Still has a ton of potential, 4 to 5-star potential. And we honestly, I didn't think we have to pay that much. 34 million. They bought him for 39.5 a couple seasons ago. Just haven't played him. Look, young players going to Real Madrid, especially if you're a midfielder, good luck trying to get on, because half of their midfield is still only like 20 to 22. So it's going to be a little rough trying to get in there. But look, their loss, our gain, and we get a fantastic young player in the squad. This is more likely what the team is going to look like for season 3. The only thing I'm going to do is going to move Aiden Heaven back into centre back role, obviously with our Roman going to Borussia Dortmund, and then going to move Decat into the DM. So Decat and then Gabriel in the middle of the park look two big physical players, can play with both feet, they're well rounded, so I'm hoping we can do well. My only issue is Heaven and this guy are very, very inexperienced, and I feel like we need someone just like with a wee bit more grit in there. I do still have a lot of money. I think we've got a total of about 78 million left, so we'll kind of reevaluate this. We'll go to January. Look, if I feel like things aren't going great defensively, I'll probably bring somebody in January with a wee bit more experience. Look, our options are very, very limited when it comes to centre backs. Even though we're in the Champions League this year, our reputation's still growing. We're gonna need to give it a couple seasons to get up there before we can buy some bigger players. Look, we'll just, like I said, reevaluate. I'm very, very happy with what we built here. Uberg is absolutely fantastic. Saba and Hogsberg on both sides are both very, very well rounded, both good on the ball. Like I said, these two are young centre backs, but look, they have a ton of potential. Decat and Gabriel in the middle of park, fantastic. And then both of our inside forwards are very, very good. And then Cheeto and Merstead up top. Look, I think all in all, we've built a really, really good team. And look, we got Champions League football last year. We also won the Europa League. So look, I feel like we can just push on. Ideally, look, staying in some form of European football is gonna be the goal this season. I think we're at that point. Look, we need to stay in European football. Obviously, the big one, stay in Champions League football, would be absolutely massive. But look, you can't guarantee that every single year. So European football, Champions League being the goal, and then obviously in the Champions League. I would like to make it out of the league phase. I think make it out of the league phase, at least to the knockouts, would be absolutely fantastic for our first season in the Champions League. But look, we've got a young, inexperienced team, but they've showed they can do the business, boys. Obviously, we'll reevaluate in January, see how the team's getting on. We'll also check the approach of signs, kind of see if there's anybody that we can bring in on a free. Hopefully there's like a decent centre back we can bring in or something. And then if we get a good youth intake in April, I'll bring us back for that. It hasn't been great, boys. It hasn't been great. I wish it was, because that would be the goal, just bringing some young players through the under 18s into the first team. But look, we just haven't got lucky with that. It is the luck of the draw, and you kind of just have to wait and see every year what it's like. But boys, that's enough messing about. Let's go play season 3. So boys, we got the youth intake. We have one elite player. The rest are all 2.5 stars, but this guy I feel like could be absolutely fantastic. 15-year-old goalkeeper, as you can see, playing at a 1.5 right now, has 4 to 5 star potential, has some really, really good stats. Teamwork and work rate are fantastic. Reflexes of 14 at 15 years old, handling of 13, aerial reach of 14, balance, jump and reach, and natural fitness are all 13. As you can see over here, aerial and shot stopping, mental and communication are all pretty fucking solid. So boys, if he reaches potential, we could have ourselves a young Italian keeper. So boys, the end of season 3. Look, we all know what we want to do. Just keep pushing up in the league, keep trying to guarantee Champions League football or some sort of European football. And I'm actually pretty happy. We got someone pretty decent from youth intake. I also have confirmed the new transfer, someone to play in midfield. Could be pretty good. Someone I've been looking for a while, but because he was too young, we couldn't get him into the club. But look, all in all, I just want to continue. And obviously, this is the first season we've been in the Champions League. But we know, look, I want to make it to at least the knockouts. Let's go and see how we did in the league. So we started things off fantastically with a nice 5-1 win over Sampdoria. We also beat Napoli 1-0. We then drew 5 each with Lazio. And then unfortunately got absolutely obliterated by Juventus 3-1. But we did have a nice 3-1 win over Udinese. Our bogey team Bologna, both times we drew 1 each with them. We just cannot seem to beat Bologna. But near the end of the season, we got a fantastic win over Juventus 2-1. Which meant, boys, we ended up finishing 4th again. Look, this is absolutely fantastic. Once again, guaranteed Champions League football. We did very, very well. Look, 38 games played, we get 20 wins again. And that's been a couple seasons where we've had 20 wins, 9 draws, 9 losses. Probably feel like some of these, we could probably turn some of these losses into draws at least, and then some of the draws into wins. Obviously, look, we've got a young, inexperienced team. It's going to happen. But we scored 77 goals, which is a massive increase from where we were the last couple of seasons. Conceded 48, probably still a little high, but we have young, inexperienced defenders. This will probably come up with time. And then obviously, as our reputation increases, I can get us better quality centre backs, because I feel like that's kind of, I wouldn't say what's holding us back, but it's probably like our weakness in the team is the fact that I feel like we just concede too many goals. If this was down to like 30, 35, I think I'd be kind of okay with it, because then we've got like 2 goals for every goal that we concede. But look, we scored 77. We had a goal difference of 29. Like I said, we want this to come up a little bit. Finished on 69 points. We're still massively off AC Milan, who finished on 84. But look, guaranteed Champions League football again. I'm pretty happy with that. So we then jump over into the Italian Cup. We start things off in the third round against Atalanta. We beat them 2-1, which then moved us over into the quarterfinals against Torino. We beat them 1-0. We then faced off against Roma in the semi-finals. We beat them 4-1 in the first leg. In the second leg, we also got a victory, beating them 2-1. The boys take us to the final against AC Milan. So for some reason, I can't actually access the goals. Whenever I go up to the goals thing and I hit to show you the replays of the goals, the game crashes every time. So I don't know if it's a bug or something's going on. But we ended up getting beat 4-3 by AC Milan. And the player that scored the winner makes it even worse. It's Mateus Cunha. You know, I'm a Man United supporter, so this just makes things even worse. But look, we made it to another final. Leao scored, Rodriguez scored for us, and then Pulisic got 2, and then Javicas got another 2 for us. We scored in the 89th and 93rd minute to make it 3 each, and then Cunha scored in the 102nd minute with a penalty. But look, boys, we're just getting better and better and better every season. And look, if we make it to a final, of course, losing it sucks, but at least we made it there. So boys, that now takes us over into our first run in the Champions League. We started off things really well against Midtjylland. We beat them 4-1 in the league phase. We then also managed to smash Liverpool 5-1. This one makes me happy. It really does on the inside. We then managed to beat PSV 1-0, beat Club Brugge 3-0. We then also beat Arsenal 2-1, who have a fantastic team in the FM. We then drew 1 each with AC Milan. We then also beat Sevilla 3-0. And in our final league phase match, we ended up beating Celtic 2-0, which meant, boys, in the league phase of the Champions League, I don't know how, we ended up finishing top. We lost 2 games and we drew a game as well, but we still ended up finishing top. I'm not gonna lie, I don't fucking know how this happened. We seem to do really good in Europe. Honestly, look, we're still good in the league. We are very good in the league, but our bread and butter right now seems to be in Europe. We just seem to be doing really well. I don't know how this has happened, boys, but look, it means we missed the knockouts and go to the round of 16, where we faced off against French side Lyon. We beat them. We drew with them 1 each in the first leg. But in the second leg, when we were home, we absolutely obliterated them 5-1, which means, boys, we go to the quarterfinals, where we faced off against another French side in Marseille. We beat them 2-1 in the first leg. In the second leg, we drew 1 each, but with our victory in the first leg, it means, boys, we go to a semi-final in the Champions League, where we faced off against Liverpool. Unfortunately, they beat us 2-1 at Anfield. In the second leg, they unfortunately beat us 2-1 at home as well. Look, that I could have no look, as a Man United supporter, getting beat by Liverpool always hurts, but look, I have 0 complaints. You know, going into this season, my goal was to at least make it to the knockouts. The fact that we went past the round of 16, the quarters, and made it to the semi-finals of the Champions League, I have no complaints about the season at all. We have done amazing with a very young team. So then jumping over into the player performances, a few people have been asking in previous videos, is there no way that we can move the stats around and move it to the top? No, unfortunately with this skins, we can't actually do anything. You can go into different screens, but you can't move anything around. But look, this will probably come a time when the SI actually lets us skin the game. But our big man, Ubrig, 58 games played, 16 clean sheets. He conceded 70 goals, but look, we know our problems is in defense, and look, that is something we're going to structure over the next few years. But look, an absolutely fantastic signing for us, and he's already worth 50 to 63 million for a keeper. In the big man, Antal at the back for us, another one, an absolutely fantastic signing. Started 41 games, 7 off the bench, 2 goals. Also, young Aiden Heaven, one I'm excited to see how well he actually gets, but he played 46 games, 3 off the bench, 1 goal, 3 assists. Of course, then young Saba playing in his first full season, started 32 games, did have a wee bit of a knock, and then he had 4 off the bench, 4 goals, 5 assists. Of course, would like to see the assists come up, but look, it's his first season. I'm not going to judge him too harshly, and he's also still very young. And of course, young Lucas Holzberg, who's one that actually got a wee bit injured at the end of the season. As you can see, he's still injured now. He only started 36 games, 2 off the bench, 2 goals, 5 assists. Of course, with the fullbacks in this system, look, they're not complete wing backs. They're not just bombing up the pitch and going at people. I would like them to start seeing a wee bit more of assists out of them, but look, they're not our primary like sort of goal scoring or assist threat. They're there to keep a good structure of the team. But look, over time, I would of course like these numbers to come up a bit. Nathan Decat, another one I'm very excited for. Of course, look, had a wee bit of an injury at the start of the season, so he only started 34 games, 2 off the bench, but he got himself 3 goals. He's one I'm very excited for. Look, big, physical, good all round, and yeah, he may have a new partner next year, because while I still love Cucurella and think he's an absolutely fantastic player, he does not want to sign another contract because there was interest showing him, and in January he doesn't want to sign another contract. So he's one more than likely we're going to have to move on. That's why I've brought a replacement in for next year. Ideally, look, someone I would like to keep. Look, 5'9", a little shorter than what I usually go for, but look, defending mentals and technicals He's very, very good. His physical stats as well are pretty decent. Played 46 games, 2 goals, 3 assists. And of course, young Rodriguez, who we had to move over, of course, into Diao's spot because he pissed off the Newcastle. He played 51 games, 20 goals and 8 assists, so 28 goal involvements. Look, still a very, very young man at 22, but he had a great season. Then, of course, our new signing, Francolino, had a banger of a season. 52 games started, 24 goals, 20 assists. So fucking 44 goal involvements in 52 games is absolutely insane. All the money that we spent on him, every penny was worth it. Then, of course, the big man up top, Merstead, another one that had a banger of a season. 56 games started, 30 goals, 12 assists, so 42 goal involvements for our striker. And then, of course, the young man playing in beside him, young Cheeto, who, it's like I said, is probably the best I've seen in any of the saves. He did have 19 determination. Apparently, it's went down to 18, but look, we're not going to worry about that. Played 55 games, 18 goals and 18 assists. So what's that, like 36 goal involvements in 55 games? Oh, our forward line scores a lot of goals. Obviously, a lot of this is down to the absolutely fantastic tactic. Like I said, the tactic in the save file will be in the pinned comments down below. The only thing I did to the tactic was take it off the attacking mentality and go to positive. I like positive. I think it feels a lot more structured, but look, that's a personal preference thing. If you want to go and just go at teams and go attacking, by all means do it. Play Football Manager how you want, but like I said, I felt like just reining it in a little bit and just kind of dropping it down to positive seems to have done absolutely fantastic for us. Of course, we do have people like Banks as well, another one that's an absolutely fantastic centre back, but he also got a lot of games. Started 31 games, 15 off the bench, no goals, no assists, but look, he's a centre back. Young Gabriel Moscardo, of course, look, Cucuret's our captain, so he's more than likely going to start, and the Cat's probably a better captain or a better player than Moscardo is, but he started 6 games, 14 off the bench. As long as he's still getting some football, I'm happy. Of course, we do also have Ryan, because we're going to need a lot of squad depth. Look, he played absolutely fantastic for all the games that he played. Started 7 games, 39 off the bench. Obviously, a lot of those, probably not a ton of football, but he got 4 goals and 4 assists. I really want to keep him around for a squad player because he is very good. But boys, that is the end of season 3. Look, we did. Honestly, we have been overachieving since we started this Como save. And like I said, a huge part of this is down to the tactic. The tactic is absolutely fantastic. Of course, me bringing in some really, really good young players, and we have a good base of our team, and we're scoring a lot of goals. But like, the tactic is undeniable. It is very, very good. 4-2-4s, something honestly I don't really run a lot. If you know me and you know the channel well, and even if you drop by the stream on Twitch, look, I usually play 3 at the back. It's just my thing. So dropping in, playing 4-2-4s, it's exciting for me as well. But look, the tactic is fantastic. Like I said, the save file and the corner routine and the tactic will all be in the pinned comments when this video goes live, so you can go check it out, boys. But that's season 3 over with. Did well in the league. Got in the Champions League football. Made it to the Italian Cup final. And we made it to the semi-finals of the Champions League, which is absolutely wild. Look, obviously, my goal is at some point to try and win the Serie A. I think, look, we just need a wee bit more oomph and we can get going. Obviously, I feel like our defense, if we can bolster up our defense a bit more and make us a wee bit more structurally sound, I honestly feel like we can win the league over the next couple of seasons. But boys, that's the end of season 3. Jump over into season 4. So boys, season 4, obviously, look, there's a lot about the team. There's nothing I overly really want to change. I think the team's in a good spot. Obviously, the centre back thing, we'll just kind of reevaluate as we go along. But the boys, look, 2 young, inexperienced centre backs did very, very well last year. Obviously, like I said, I want the goals conceded to come down a little bit, but that may come down with them getting a wee bit of experience and getting a lot better. So we're just going to reevaluate it. Look, we had a fantastic season. There's no real need to do any drastic changes to the team. But obviously, Cucuret was an issue, and we did end up actually getting rid of him. It was going to be between Sunderland and another Premiership team and the Saudi League. Obviously, he went to the Saudi League, but we got a decent amount of money for him. We got a total of 16 million. He gets to go and get some football. Obviously, look, I would have wanted to keep him, but look, it's not a massive loss to the team with regards to likability. We do have people that can step in and replace him, but like I said, I did bring somebody in, and that person is young Kenneth Eichhorn. I think that's how you pronounce him. Apparently get a really, look, there's a lot of clubs in real life looking around this kid. Apparently he's very, very good in real life. Obviously, he's only like 16, just about to turn 17, got a ton of potential. Physical stats are through the roof. He's absolutely phenomenal. He's also 6'2". He can play with both feet. Mental stats are top notch. We only had to pay a total of like I think it was it 16 or 17 million for him? 15 million, which I think is an absolute steal. Like, if you look at the kid, very, very good all round, good in the air, good on the ball. He's got good passing, marking, tackling, and technique. He's got room to improve, and for a very cheap price. Obviously, getting rid of Cucuret pretty much covered this transfer, which means going into this season, the only real change is going to be that just Eichenhorn goes into the box-to-box midfielder for Kukurat, which honestly, I'm not joking, I think's honestly probably a better fit. Kukurat's more of like a defensive midfielder, a ball-winning midfielder. He's not really a great box-to-box, if I'm being honest. Good defensively, just not great on the ball. So this honestly should help us improve a little bit, but it is the young man's first season, so don't expect him to hit the ground, absolutely smash it. And we do have a lot of people. The only person that's kind of upset a little bit at the minute is Urbig, because the Saudi League came in and offered 35.5 million for him. I rejected it. He was like, why do you not let me go? It was because I don't want to sell you. So he's a little upset, he's spaghetti, but look, this may go away with a little bit of time, so we'll just leave it, and then hopefully by January he's fine and calm down a little bit. But look, all in all, the team very, very happy with Urbig, Saba, and then Hosberg as our two fullbacks. The centre backs obviously are going to interchange just depending on who's fit, and then Eichenhorn and De Ket in the middle of the park. Bragalino, just another one, just have the season that he has. Rodriguez has signed a new contract, and Obi and Merstead. Look, I think we've got a very, very good team. I think the only person I'm probably going to have to lock in is going to have to be Francolino and Merstead. The only reason for this is because the system manager wants to put him up here and then Merstead gets dropped to the bench. I don't want that. Like I said, I love having a bunch of really, really good technical players, but I do also like to have a wee mix of someone a bit more bigger and a bit physical, so I want Merstead to stay in the team. So this is the only two players we're going to lock in for the season, just to make sure everybody gets to play. But all in all, boys, look, I'm very, very happy with what we've done so far. Even if I was to leave the save off on season 3 last season, I'd be very, very happy because we've done fantastic. But obviously the end goal is compete for the title and try and win it at some point within the 5 seasons, because look, we're very, very close. I think, like I said, we just concede a few too many goals, and if we can kind of rip that down a wee bit this year, honestly, I think we can push for the title. We've been a wee bit off. I think we were anywhere from 10 to 15 points over the last couple of seasons with regards to staying behind AC Milan, but look, what we can do is just keep pushing forward. We did amazing in the league last year, guaranteed Champions League football, made it to a final, made it to the fucking semi-finals of the Champions League. Once again, my goal is round of 16. If we can get to the round of 16 and try and keep getting there every year, one, increases the reputation of the club, gets us a wee bit of cash, and boys, you can never complain about that. Obviously, gonna come back in January if there's anybody I think there's good on approach signs. There's been nobody of interest that I'm looking at going, he's gonna make the team better. Even people that are interested in being squad players either want crazy money or they're non-EU, and then obviously we can't register them, so you kind of have to watch in it a little bit. I'm trying to find some good young Italian players to bring into the team, but they're very few and far between. Most of them play for Inter Milan and AC Milan and don't want to leave. So hopefully, once again, after getting the good young keeper in our youth intake last year, hopefully we can get to, look, if we got one decent player every year, I'd be super, super happy. So we may come back in April if the youth intake is good. If it's not, then you'll not see me till the end of the season. But boys, that's enough messed about. Let's go play season 4. So boys, the end of season 4, obviously for here, the youth intake was not great. It was 3 stars, but there was one decent player out of it. So, you know, maybe down the line at some point he could become good. I'm hoping. But look, obviously what we wanted to do with the club was just start building up the first team, competing in competitions. Obviously we still have to try and fight for the title. I think we've stabilized ourselves as a decent European team. We did very, very well in the Champions League. Now we can start with the next couple of seasons and just trying to bring some young players in, beef up the under 21s, beef up the under 18s, and just keep going and going. But look, I want to try and push for the title. Let's jump over to see how we did in the league. We started things off really strong on day 1. We beat Inter 2-1. And of course, drew with Bologna, the team that we can't beat. Had a fantastic 3-2 win over Fiorentina. We also beat Atalanta 5-2. Napoli then beat us 1-0. Roma then beat us 3-0. But we finally, boys, after 4 seasons, managed to beat Bologna. And we beat them 3-1. And with all those fantastic results, we did it, boys. We finally won the Serie A. Look, was it down to us beating Bologna 3-1? Yes, 100%. But joking aside, look, they are our bogey team. It's the first time we've beat them in 4 years. We played fantastic this year. Obviously, like I said, the main thing was going to be not conceding as many goals. As you can see, we played 38 games. We won 25, up from like the previous couple of seasons where we had only won 20. We had 8 draws. Instead of 9 losses, we only had 5. We scored 89 goals, which is absolutely fantastic. It just keeps going up and up and up. We only conceded 39. I think it was like 48, 49 in the last couple of seasons. So we knocked off like 9 or 10 goals, which is exactly what we want. 50 goal difference. massively ahead of anybody else in the league. We finished on 83 points. Obviously, this also helped the fact that AC Milan just fell off the season. They won the league the last 2 years and won it very, very well by like a good 10 or 15 points. But look, their loss, our gain, this is what I wanted. Look, I wasn't too sure, if I'm just being completely honest. You know, I'm very, very honest in my rebuilds. I wasn't sure how this rebuild was going to go, how long it was going to take. I knew within 5 seasons we could compete for the title. We just had to get the right players in the right positions. I didn't think we were going to do it in season 4, really didn't. And then, like I said, after the season that we had last year, getting to the Champions League semi-finals, pushing so close, we got up in the 4th, guaranteed Champions League football. This is absolutely fantastic. I'm so happy that we were able to win the league at some point. So after the great performance in the league, obviously we've got to jump over to the Italian Cup. We started things off against Medina in the 3rd round. We beat them 3-2. We always have a really close game against them. In the quarterfinals, we faced off against Parma. It went the whole way to penalties, but we went through. In the semi-finals, we faced off against Lazio. We beat them 2-1 in the first leg. In the second leg, we drew 0-0, but obviously with us winning the first leg, boys, we go to another cup final against Juventus, where once again, for some reason, it won't show me the goals, but it's probably just as well it didn't show us the goals, because we just got absolutely obliterated 4-0 by Juventus. Look, obviously they have a decent team, but after winning the league, I was hoping, look, we got the cup final. We did absolutely fantastic, but then just to get there and get absolutely destroyed, it's a little disheartening, but we still have the Champions League. We start things off in the league phase against Spurs. We beat them 1-0, which is a fantastic result for us. We then hammered Besiktas 6-0, drew with Monaco 1 each. Unfortunately got beat 1-0 by Bayern, but to be honest, I can't be mad. They're a very good team. We then played another one of Germany's teams in Borussia Dortmund, my favourite German team. We beat them 3-2 in a close match. We then somehow got beat 2-1 by Benfica. We then drew 0-0 with AC Milan. In our final league phase match, we faced off against Salzburg. We beat them 2-0. And then somehow in the league phase, we ended up finishing 11th with this. This is the weird thing about Football Manager. We came first. Obviously, look, I'm being realistic, a bit of a fluke season if we're being honest, the finishing first in the league phase. This is probably, I think, a wee bit of a fair representation of how good our squad is. Finishing 11th, look, we didn't finish in the top 8 to automatically qualify. We now have to go to the knockouts, where we faced off against Club Brugge. We beat them 3-2 in the first leg. In the second leg, we were a lot more clinical. We beat them 2-0 to take us, boys, to the round of 16, where we faced off against Marseille, and then in the first leg we were clinical. We beat them 3-0, because just as well in the second leg we drew 2 each, but because we won the first match, we progressed to the quarterfinals, where we faced off against Porto. We absolutely destroyed them in the first leg 5-0, and once again it was just as well, because they beat us 3-0 in the second leg, so we went through to the semi-finals 5-3 in aggregate. We faced off against this really small team. You may have heard of them. They're called Real Madrid. They beat us 2-1 at the Bernabeu. In the second leg, we beat them 3-2 to take it to penalties. And unfortunately, they ended up going through. And yeah, we only missed 1 penalty, which is unfortunate. Look, it is what it is. We got beat by Liverpool last year, one of the best teams in the game, and then got beat by Real Madrid this year. And look, I didn't think we were going to get the semis again. Honestly, I'm trying to be realistic about these saves, but I didn't think we were going to do this good in 4 seasons. Obviously, like I said, a huge part of this is down to the absolutely fantastic tactic, and then also the great players that I think we've brought in, just young players with a lot of talent. But it's been another fantastic season. We won the league, which was amazing. We got the cup final. Unfortunately, we don't talk about the cup final against Juventus, and then we made it to another semi-final of the Champions League. I think we've established ourselves as a very, very solid team in Europe. So we jump over into the player performances. Don't worry, your big is also very, very happy now. He wants to stay at the club, but there is a few Premiership clubs after him, but one of them is Bournemouth. I feel like we should be able to keep him. We just got the Champions League semi-final, but the big man played 60 games, 21 clean sheets, conceded 66, probably still, once again, a little higher than what I would like, but look, he conceded 70 odds last year, so we are improving on 21 clean sheets. Fantastic. Aiden Heaven, another one who's starting to look very, very good as well. Played 46 games, 2 goals, 1 assist. The big man in beside him, Antel, played 41 games, 3 goals, no assists. Saba, once again, it's still crazy to think that this kid's still only 20 years old. Played 48 games, 4 goals, 9 assists. Like I said, the fullbacks are not a massive part of this, like with regards to attacking. They do help, but like obviously our front line is our threat. So like I want them to try and get in and around that sort of like 10 assists every season. I think it'll be just a nice solid place. And then his buddy on the other side, Lucas Hogsberg, played 48 games, 3 goals, 8 assists. Like I said, once again, just try and get up into that 10. Nathan the Cat, who just honestly looks absolutely fantastic. I highly recommend picking this kid up if you can get him. I know he gets a little pricey at the start of the game, but he's worth it. 44 games started, 2 goals, 3 assists, but he is our defensive midfielder. And then young Kennett in his first season played 43 games, no goals, but he got 8 assists. Who wants him? Please don't be anybody big. That's not good. Then jumping up into the firepower up top, Rodriguez played 51 games. I didn't even lock him in. The assistant manager just loves him. 22 goals and 12 assists. Then the big man again on the right hand side, Francolino. I honestly don't know how to pronounce his name. I think I've said his name about 6 times differently, but he played 58 games. Obviously we had to lock him in, but he had 22 goals and 14 assists. Then Big Merstead up top played 55 games, 17 goals, 8 assists. He did have a few wee injuries here and there, but look, all in all, I'm very, very happy with him. Even though if you look at his picture up here, he looks like he's absolutely baked out of his mind. Then young Cheeto surprisingly only started 19 games, 40 off the bench, 21 goals and 5 assists, because the system manager seems to have played Rayan a little bit more, so I may have to lock Cheeto in. Even though Rayan played fantastic, he started 47 games, 12 off the bench, 16 goals, 18 assists, but Cheeto is also fantastic. I don't know, we've so many good players, I don't know where to play them all, but obviously I don't know if it's my bias because obviously I'm a Man United man. The front line is obviously probably more than likely just going to pick itself next year and then we just let them go. But look, I like that they're interchanging and they're all getting a lot of goals. And like I said, Rayan also has 4-star potential. He's the chance to get another star better than this. But Cheeto also has a chance to get maybe a star and a half, maybe 2 stars better than what he is. So we're kind of just going to have to see what happens next year. Because once again, we had an absolutely unreal season. Like I can't believe that we're doing this well so soon. Look, I'm going to take it. I'm very, very happy that we're taking Como up to a place that I thought would probably take us like 5 or 6 seasons to get there. But look, won the league. Eventually got the cup final, semi-final of the Champions League. We're doing everything we need to do. Like I said, for the next season or so, I'm just going to start trying to bolster up the under 21s and the under 18s. So when you take the save on, because like I said, the save file, the corner routine and the tactic will all be in the pinned comments down below when this video goes live, so you can just go pick it up for free. I want you to have a very, very good first team, but then also have some players for the future in there. But boys, let's jump over into season 5. So boys, season 5, and look, we had a wee bit of movement with the squad, as we expect that. Look, when you start to get into like the 4th or 5th or 6th season, some players are going to get a little unsettled because they're not playing as much. And then sometimes it's just good to move some players on who maybe just don't fit up to the squad, because obviously we're trying to upgrade our squad every single season. And I think we've done pretty well. So one of the first people out the door was young Rayan. This is one, obviously, he wants to go and get some first team football to get in the national setup. And look, I'm never going to stop a player who wants to get into the national team. So we moved him on to Sporting for about 24.5 million, which is pretty solid because it's like nearly £12 million profit for us. Then the next one out the door was big Tesos. This is another one. Look, he doesn't want to sign our contract. He wants to go and get first team football, which I completely understand because he's 30 years old. So look, he wants to go and play a little bit of football, get paid a little bit. We sold him on to one of the Saudi leagues for a total of 10 million. I think this is a really, really good deal for both sides. We get a bit of cash, they get a decent footballer. Then, like I said, the one thing that I did want to do was start bolstering up the under 21s and the under 18s. I brought this young guy in, Lorenzo Galante. Obviously, this is going to be a fill-in for us at left back. He's not going to be able to play center. It says his main role is at centre back. Yeah, he's got 7 jumping reach and 9 heading, so he's not going to play centre back. He's going to be our backup for Saba, and then maybe down the line. Look, sometimes we don't know what's going to happen with Saba, if he wants to stay, if he wants to go, but we do need cover there. He's also Italian, which is absolutely fantastic. As you can see over here, speed is very, very good. Technical is very, very good. Mentals and physicals are solid. Like I said, he just turned 19. We didn't even pay that much money for him. A total of 6.5 million, which I think is an absolute steal. He's playing a 2-star. If he gets the 4-star and gets 2-star better than this, we got a real player in our hands. Then the next one I brought in the door is Simeone Pistola. We do have some big players that came in, but I want to show you all the young players that we bring into. This guy obviously got a lot of talent. One of those ones I had on my short list. He had a wee bit of a release clause and he looked like he was going to be getting swooped up by a lot of big teams. PSG were interested, Man City were interested, and also Barcelona. And like I said, you can kind of tell how good a player is going to be by the teams that kind of want them. So we swooped in, as you can see, 18 years old. He's very, very good. Speed's good. Technical's good. He has the opportunity to be very, very good all around. It just looks a little worse because his aerial's not great. But look, if you've got a guy playing out in the wings, you need him to be quick. You don't really care about his jump and reach. And like I said, he had that release clause of about 11.5 million. So we went and paid it. He's also got 19 determination. So this is one for the future. As you can see, obviously he's in the under 20s. I think we got a real player in our hands. In the next one, I brought in, surprisingly, an Englishman, which we're going to have to see how that works out with our non-EU status. So 19 years old. Look, another one, once again, I had on my short list, and then a couple of clubs were kind of sniffing around, so I just went in and put a bid in. He's been a 3-star. This is more we're gonna need squad depth. 19 years old, he's very quick. He's very strong with his left foot, strong with his right foot, and you know yourself, it's hard to find players that can play with both feet. This is, I feel like, going to be one more for squad depth, but a very, very good player. And this costs us a total of about 12.5 million. All in, look, his mental stats are very, very good. He can dribble, he can finish. His technique is very, very good. His physical stats are very, very good. Then the next one I brought in is Francisco Aguirre. Another one, right-footed. Little weak with his left foot, but look, it's something we can work on with individual training. He's meant to play in the middle of the park. Look, at 5'11", I'm not too sure how it's going to work out. This is going to be more one, I think, going to be a really, really good cover for the right back position. I am going to start training him in there. Look, his speed's good, his technique's good, his vision is good, and he's also got really, really good technique. First touch, I would like to work on his dribbling a little bit if he is going to play at right back. I just feel like at 5'11", look, he's not short at 5'11", but you know my love for big physical players in the middle of the park. His mental stats are absolutely insane. 17 teamwork, 17 vision, 17 work rate, 16 decisions. He's also got good aggression, good anticipation. He's also got very, very good positioning, and all around for 12.5 million, he had a release clause. I think this is a great player. So then obviously with one of our centre backs leaving, we were gonna need to replace that person, and I went out and got a Lorenzo Parola. If you played FM24, you know who the big man is. He's not just as good in this FM. This is another one. He's Italian. It's going to help with registration. He was also transfer listed for 14.7 million. I think this was an absolute steal. 6'1", left-footed. You know yourself, trying to find left-footed players. Little weak with the other foot, but look, beggars can't be choosers. He's happy to play. Then the next one I brought in is going to be Nahuel Gomez. This one actually costs us a wee bit of cash. I wouldn't that expensive, probably for the Italian league, but not in world football. 19 million. He had a release clause. He's in under 20s. I'm going to keep him in the under 20s for a little bit. I would ideally, of course, like to get him loaned out. He is Argentinian, so of course he's going to be part of the non-EU squad. But look, very, very good player all round. And for 19 million, I think we got a really, really good player. Speed is fantastic. Aerial is good, technical is good, attacking, vision, and physicals are good. Mentals are low, but look, I think that'll just come up with age. Look, concentration and decision making is things we can work on with individual training. And for 19 million, like I said, I'm trying to build you a really, really good team for the future. And depending on how you want to play your tactic, you're going to need a lot of players. I'm just trying to swoop up all the players that we can get a hold of. Because obviously, look, I know of a lot of really, really good players. They're on the Wonder Kids shortlist that I have. But look, they get play for big teams, or big teams just we put in for them, then big teams come in and swoop them. That has happened a few times. There was a couple of players that I wanted to get, but one ended up going to PSG, one went to Arsenal, and the other one went to Man City. Just unfortunate, us being a small club. Look, I'm just trying to get in as many good young players into the club that I can bring in, and this guy, I think, for 19 million has a potential to be very, very good down the line. But the big one I brought in this year is Matteo Palma. Another one. He's Italian. He's only 21 years old. He is very, very good in this year's FM if you get a chance to play him. Also, a total of 45 million, all in, obviously 30 million up front, and then the rest in installments and stuff. But look, physicals are good, speed is good, aerial is good, mental and defending are all very, very good. He's already playing a 3.5 star. He has the potential to at least hit 4. I would say he'll probably hit 4 star, so we get another half a star betterness. Look, he is a phenomenally talented centre back, and like I said, he's also Italian, so it's going to help us with registration. He's just very, very good all around. Look, not an amazing like player from the back, ball playing defender, but like we don't need that. I just need someone in there who can win headers, be a great defender, and help us once again, like I've said, try and get those defensive numbers back a wee bit, because I want to try and concede less goals. And I think his physical stats are insane, and he's also 6'4". He's getting nothing in his physical stats under a 14. So this is what the team is going to look like going into season 4. Obviously, the centre back where Parola is on the left hand side will interchange. We've got Heaven, and we've also got Banks in there as well, so they're going to rotate quite a lot. But look, Urbig's still in there, Big Saba and Hugsberg, and then like I said, Palma is definitely going to be one that I want to start in there. Even if I have to lock him in for the season, that's perfectly fine. And into Cat and H-Horn. H-Horn has been a wee bit of a pain in the ass. So when I signed H-Horn, he wanted in his contract that there was a 19 million release clause, and he would not let me take it out. So then I was like, right, we'll hit January, we'll give him an hour contract. And then when we give him an hour contract, he wanted another release clause in there again. Granted, this one's 37.5 million. Ideally, at some point, I would like to get this out of his contract where he has no release clause. Because, yeah, a lot of teams are sniffing around him, and 37.5 million for a player like him is not that much money, and I don't want to lose him. So when we hit January, I'm going to try and offer him an hour contract and see if we can get the release clause out. But all in all, look, I really want to keep Kennett and the Cat in the middle of the park. These two are absolutely perfect for us for what we want. And then obviously the forward line just stays the same with Rodriguez, Obi, Bursted, and hold on, Francolinio. I've messed his name up so many times, but look, we have built a absolutely fantastic team. Like I said, I'm just going to keep doing what we're doing. I want us to try, look, do I want to try and get the Champions League final? Of course, but I feel like we've massively overperformed. We have done so well, and then obviously winning the league last year was absolutely amazing. We've already won the cup at least once, but I would once again, look, if we could do all three in the last season, that'd be fantastic. But my goal, try and compete for the league, do as well as we can in the cup. And I think we're at that point now where we try and hit at least the quarterfinals of Champions League every year. Obviously, boys, making back in January, I'm going to try and get some people in and approach the signs. I'm trying to find the right players to fit. I don't want to just bring players in for the sake of bringing players in and spending the money. That's not what I want to do with this team. Ideally, I would like to strengthen the squad up a little bit. So January, I'll have a wee look around. Hopefully some Italian players we could bring in. That would be fantastic. And then I would love to bring you back for season 5 for a good youth intake. If you pray to anything, pray to the baby Jeebus and hope that we can get a good youth intake. But boys, that's enough messed about. I think we've built a fantastic team. Just doing what we've been doing the last couple of years. Let's go play season 5. So boys, the end of season 5. Look, I'm not gonna lie, this has been a lot of fun. For you, this is a very quick video for me. This has taken probably about 4 or 5 days to get this done. This has been a lot of fun. Obviously, Como have some fantastic players, and I think we've done I'd say we've massively overachieved. And like I said previously, the save file, the corner routine, and the tactic for this will all be in the pinned comments down below. But boys, jump over and see how we did in the league this year. So we started things off with a fantastic 2-1 defeat to Bologna. I swear they are our bogey team for this whole rebuild. But we did bounce back straight away against AC Milan. We beat them 2-0. We then beat Atalanta 2-0. A nice little 2-1 win over Parma, a team I actually want to do a rebuild in the future with. A fantastic 3-1 win over Roma. We then beat Napoli 4-2. Bologna then beat us again 2-1. I swear to God, I'm actually gonna hate Bologna. And then to finish off the season, we drew 2 each with Juventus. Come on, boys, after all that, we ended up finishing 3rd. Honestly, I'm very happy with this. I'm not going to lie. We drew with Atalanta right on the last day of the season. Otherwise, we'd have finished 2nd. It is what it is. Look, 2nd, 3rd, or 4th. Honestly, let's be honest. It doesn't really matter. As long as you're staying in those Champions League spots is the main thing. But look, obviously, with winning the league, I'll kind of want to try and sort of push up a little bit. But honestly, at one point, Inter were like 12 points ahead. They were absolutely steamrolling everybody. As you can see, Juventus have also got a lot better as well. We played 30 games, 26 wins. I love that. I absolutely love that. That's an amazing amount of wins. 7 draws, 5 losses. Like, only losing 5 games all season is absolutely amazing. We had 86 goals scored. We only conceded 35. This is exactly where I wanted us to be. Like I said, I wanted to beef up the defense, make us a wee bit more structurally sound. Obviously, bringing in Palma, the young Italian centre back. I also have confirmed the signing of another young centre back for you. And yeah, they're gonna be around for ages, and they're both Italian. But anyway, we had 51 goal difference, finished on 85 points. Inter won it on 90. And like I said, Juventus are 1 point ahead of us. Like, Juventus scored 92 goals. Inter scored 91. The top 3 teams scored over 86 goals, which is absolutely wild. You don't really see that too often in the Italian league. But look, once again, a absolutely fantastic season. 26 wins. Confirmed Champions League football, and scored ourselves 86 goals. So that then took us over into the Italian Cup. We started things off against Hellas Verona in the 3rd round. We took them the whole way to penalties, but we did go through. We then faced off in the quarterfinals against Sassuolo. We beat them 3-0. Semi-final first leg seen us face off against AC Milan. We drew with them 1 each at home. But unfortunately, in the 2nd leg, when they were at home, they beat us 1-0, and that was us out of the cup. Once again, look, we're getting to the semi-finals and finals of cups nearly every year, and I'm very happy with that. After doing well in the league, guaranteeing Champions League football once again, make it at the semi-finals, I'm very happy with this. But we also have the Champions League this year, boys. And we started things off in the league phase against AZ. We beat them 3-2. Then had a very hard match against PSG. They beat us 5-2, but look, all in all, let's be honest, with the team that they have, I can't really complain. They also have Phil Foden as well. But one of the games I'm actually massively disappointed about is we get beat by Lille 3-0. Like I always say, the only way to bounce back from a defeat is go and clap the cheeks off somebody else. And we went and slapped Anderlecht 3-1. Then we beat Hajduk 4-1. Had a fantastic 2-0 win over Leipzig. We then also managed to beat Arsenal 1-0. And in our final league phase match, we beat Villarreal 2-0. Which meant, boys, in the league phase, we ended up finishing 5th. Look, we did fantastic. Of course, the other season, look, we were up on the top, and then we dropped the way down, and when we went back up. So we're a little inconsistent with where we're finishing the league phase. But look, as long as you finish in those top 24 teams and you automatically qualify, that's all that really matters. Obviously, you'd like to be in the top 8 just to make sure you go to the round of 16. We did absolutely fantastic this year. So that takes us on to the round of 16. We faced off against Spurs. They beat us 2-0 in the first leg. And unfortunately, things didn't get any better in the second leg. We drew 0-0 at home. We also had a man sent off. So we end up going out in the round of 16. Look, I know everybody's going to be watching this and be like, Mark, you're Como, you're only 5 seasons in, you've done amazing. I know, look, honestly, but you know how competitive I am. I want to win all the fucking time. I played sports my whole life, so I've just taken that over into Football Manager. Look, we've done amazing. I think I'd have been a little happier if we made it to the quarterfinals, because that was my goal for this season. We used to, at least every season, try and make it to the quarterfinals, and then we get knocked out in the round of 16. Spurs, of course, do have a good team. Fair play to them. They played really, really well. We were just terrible, and they were the better team, but I'm still a little disappointed. So then jumping over into the player performances, the big man, Urbig, look, has been absolutely fantastic since we had him. Played 54 games, 22 clean sheets, only conceded 56. Look, that's massively down. At one point, one of the seasons, I think it was like 72 goals we conceded, and then it was 60, and then we just kept going backwards. So, like, our defense is getting a lot better, and obviously having a great keeper like him has been amazing. Like, look how good he is. And for all the price we paid for him. And of course, the big man Parola, who the assistant manager seems to have sort of preferred to keep him beside Palma. He played 43 games, no goals, 1 assist though. And then of course, young Palma, who I actually ended up locking in for the season just to make sure he played. I knew he was going to play, but just wanted to make sure. He played 51 games, 2 goals, like I said, and he still has half a star of progression to go. The kid is absolutely fantastic. Of course, then Big Saba over on the left-hand side played 41 games, 3 goals, 10 assists. Super happy. As like I said, this is where I want my fullbacks to start getting to. 10 assists is perfectly fine. Look, they're not playing as complete wing backs. They're not bombing up the pitch. They're there as like a wee bit of structure, and he did absolutely fantastic this year. But his compatriot over on the other side, Lucas Hogsberg, didn't maybe just have just as good a season. Played 44 games, 2 goals, 3 assists. This is probably one I would look to probably upgrade a little bit next season. Look, obviously different save to save. I have him in my Ajax save and he's unreal, but in this save he's not just as good. So you know how it goes from save to save. Some players can be different, so this is probably a position I would maybe look to upgrade if you want to just make your team have a little more va-va-voom. And of course, the big man in the middle of the park, Nathan De Cap, played 47 games, no goals, but 4 assists. We gotta remember, he's playing as our defensive midfielder. He's also worth nearly 100 million. Then Big Kennett in beside him played 53 games, 3 goals, 5 assists. One thing, once again, is what I would do with this as well, is his personal go into his contract. I would definitely give him a new contract and try and get rid of this £37.5 million release clause. Look, he's an absolutely fantastic player, and if you want to keep, you don't want to lose him for £37.5 million. He's absolutely fantastic. Him and Nathan De Cat in the middle of the park, they're unreal together. And of course, Big Rodriguez over on the left-hand side, once again, if you're wanting to upgrade the squad, is probably one I would look to maybe upgrade a little bit. I think he's a very, very good squad player in a really, really good Champions League. Like I said, if you're wanting to upgrade your squad, make sure you win the league every year, and then on top of that, push for the Champions League. I honestly feel like he could probably be upgraded a little bit, but he's still a fantastic player. Played 35 games, did have a wee bit of an injury at the end of the season, so as you can see, didn't really play everything. 14 goals, 10 assists, so 24 goal involvements in 35 games. He had a good season. And of course, the big man Francolino, I don't know why I keep doing that with his name, but he only played 39 games. He got a wee bit of an injury too. 19 goals. Would have liked to see him get a wee bit more assists. Look, he had 2 absolutely unreal seasons, so you can't really compare them to that. Obviously, can't expect him to get 20 goals and 20 assists every season. He had 19 goals though, which is crazy. And of course, Big Merstead up top played 54 games, 22 goals and 13 assists. Honestly, for all the price that we paid for him is absolutely unreal. I think he cost us what, like 8 million maybe 3 seasons ago, and he's been absolutely fantastic. He's also wanted by the Saudi League. And then of course, Big Cheeto, I'm not joking, I wish this kid was as good in my save as he is in this. He played 36 games. He did have a wee bit of a knock as well. 23 goals, 14 assists. Look, once again, for 7.5 million, I think we've built an absolutely fantastic squad. And then of course, Big Antal, look, you do have a lot of centre backs at the club. He played 3 games, 13 off the bench, but like I said, you're gonna need squad rotation. Banks is also another one who honestly didn't really get a lot of football, so just showed Paroli and Palma were just fit the entire season. He's another one I would definitely keep at the squad. Aiden Heaven, another one who's just a fantastic player to have around the squad because he can play in defensive midfield, he can play left back, he can play centre back. Yeah, he's taking up one of your non-EU spots, so if you kind of maybe want to move him on and bring somebody in who doesn't take up one of those non-EU spots, that's perfectly fine, you know what I mean? But like I said, he can play a lot of positions, and he was very cheap as well. But like I said, this squad has been absolutely fantastic. Like, what we've done with this team has been amazing. Like I said, I have brought you in another centre back to fill in this position to play him beside Palma, and it's this young man Giovanni Leone. Look, I've had him on my shortlist for a long time, and he never wanted to come and sign for us because obviously he plays for Liverpool, but he was a little upset. He's spaghetti. There's a few people looking at him. Look, he's Italian. He's still only 23. At the start of the game, he's like 16 or 17 years old. He's absolutely insane. Fairly strong with one foot, very strong with the other foot. 6'5", really, really good physicals, really, really good. He's just very good all round. Did cost us a total of like 38 million, but like I said, PSG wanted him, Man City wanted him, AC Milan wanted him, so I swooped in, which means you're gonna have Leone and Palma as your two centre backs, and they're both unreal. And they're both Italian. Then also with the squad as well, like I said, I would look to probably upgrade the right back position. I think Hogsberg is a good backup. I think he's a very, very good backup. But just if you want someone a wee bit more sort of got a lot more to them. Rodriguez, of course, like I said, probably one you could probably upgrade as well. But Merstead is good. I think Merstead is a good backup to a very, very good striker. But I did bring somebody else in to play up there. And that person is Benjamin Sesko. He was on a free on an approach to sign in January. So you are going to have Benjamin Sesko whenever you take this save on. Like I said, the save file and everything will be in the pinned comments down below. But look, still only 27 years old. He's good in the air. He's quick. He's attacking. And if you know in FM26, big physical strikers, especially ones that are quick as well, are very, very good. He's fairly strong in 1 foot, very strong with our foot, 6'5". And for the price of absolutely nothing, you have yourself an absolute banger striker. I did also confirm the signing of this young man. Once again, another one on an approach to sign. We're taking him from Man United. Look, is he unreal? Don't know. He could probably have a wee bit of potential down the line. And like I said, we had to pay like what, 300,000 in compensation. He's got really, really good mentals. Physicals are good. Technicals, you could probably something you could work on. And like I said, I'm just trying to bolster up your under 21s and your under 18s. We also got this young man on a free as well, Anthony Zellenbar. His whole name's not fitting in the screen, so I don't know what the rest of his name is. Physicals are very, very good. He's very quick. Very strong in 1 foot, fairly strong with the other foot. He's only 19, has really, really good mentals. Obviously, his concentration will come up with time, but look, he's only just turned 19. And like I said, on a free, you can't really complain. And then, like I said, if you go into the under 20s as well, you're going to have some absolute banger players. You have Aguero, you have Pistola, you have Montenegro, and Gomez, the players that we bought just a couple of seasons ago there. Like Aguero, really, really good team. Honestly, he could probably step up into the team right now. And he's, joking aside, like I said, this is the one you could probably bring into the team. My ideal thing was probably sell Aiden Heaven, because obviously because of the non-EU, and bring this guy up and have this guy as your starting right back. Physicals are unreal. Technicals or mentals are crazy. You could probably work on his dribbling, a little bit of crossing, but look, he has a long way to go with regards to potential, but he has the ability to be a very, very good right back. That's probably where I would train him. Obviously, you can have something different, whatever you want to do with him. Pistola, another one that's also very, very good. Has that 19 determination. His physicals are very, very good. He's very, very quick. Honestly, he has the potential to probably be one of the best players in the team. Then Montano, another one who's very, very similar to Pistola. He probably could be a backup for him, or you could bring him up in the first team. Very strong in 1 foot, very strong with the other foot. 19 years old, absolute fly machine. He's got 18 agility. He also has good determination and good flair, so it's going to help with his mental stats, because probably something that does need to come up with time. But like I said, he could be a backup, but he has the potential to be very good. And then of course you do have Anadel Gomez as another one, which I think is absolutely disgustingly good. Very, very quick. Attacking's good. Vision and technical and aerial are also very good. This could probably be the long-term replacement for your Benjamin Sisko type player. And then in the under 18s, we still also have the wee young Italian keeper who, honestly, joking aside, he could probably start. He probably could. There's a lot of people looking at Urberg. Urberg's a very, very good keeper. And like I said, you could even bring him up into the first team, play him in the cup games, play him against the smaller teams. I honestly believe in probably like another maybe 2 or 3 seasons, this dude will be unreal. He's also very strong in 1 foot, very strong with the other foot. Aerial of 15, shot stop on a 13, and communication of 13. He just turned 17 years old. This kid, honestly, I'd bring him up in the team and start playing him in some of the first games and get him a wee bit of first team experience, because he could honestly be your first choice keeper for the next like 10 years. He's also 6'4" and Italian. Like I said, there's a lot of talent in and around this team, boys. And like I said, when you take the save on, by all means, I hope you have as much fun with it as much as I did. There is some real quality players this team, not only in the first team, but also a lot of young players in the team. We've done absolutely unreal, boys. We have massively, massively overachieved. I was expecting to push up into sort of like season 5 and just be like sort of like working our way up and challenging for the title, but we absolutely blew that out of the water. And like I said, the tactic has been absolutely unreal, and I appreciate all the support from all you guys on the saves and everything. It has been absolutely amazing. Also, everybody who votes for all the saves on the community page. It's not that I don't know who to do a rebuild with, it's I have so many teams. I have a list of about 50 teams. I just don't know which one to rebuild first, because I want to rebuild them all. So you guys voting on the community page is so helpful. It does really, really help out. But that is going to do it for today's video. Thank you very much for watching. Remember to like, comment, subscribe. Only if you fucking want to on YouTube. Have yourselves a fantastic day.